Am I the asshole for reading a hurtful journal entry about my sister-in-law after my brother and his wife read my private journals? Growing up, I, 32M, used to journal. To my knowledge, no one knew about it or read the heartfelt thoughts I recorded, and if they did, they never disclosed that my privacy had been breached. Journaling became a source of comfort, so I continued well into my teenage years. As a male, I felt a bit self-conscious about it, so I used to hide this fact. My parents are moving, and since they've had this house since my childhood, there's a lot of packing, organizing, and decluttering to do. As they're older, they need some help, so my brother, 39M, and I came over to assist. While helping them, I found my brother and his wife, 38F, huddled together, snickering as they read through a journal. It was just a regular composition book, but instinctively I knew it was one of my special journals by their stupid giggles. So I asked, "Isn't that mine?" As I walked over. I didn't know exactly what they were reading, but I knew it was obviously personal and none of their business. I told my brother to give it back, and when I reached for it, he told me to chill and snatched it back. We ended up wrestling over the book, causing enough commotion for my parents to come and see/ask what was going on. He says something like, "You guys have to hear this," and starts reading the entry out loud. His wife is outright laughing, and he's struggling to read full sentences without breaking into laughter. The memory of what they're reading comes flooding back, and I feel a wave of huge embarrassment. I was 15 at the time, and my 22-year-old brother had just started dating a girl, his now wife, who I thought was hot and way out of his league. That journal, without exaggeration, is nearly 2 decades old, and yet they were getting a real kick out of themselves, exchanging comments to my detriment and wanting to take pictures of the page. My annoyance turned to irritation. Yes, she was attractive, but within 2 years of their relationship, I realized she was ugly inside. I still feel the same way today. I vividly remember writing something harsh about her in one of my journals when I was 18. It stands out because it happened right after my grandmother passed away, and her behavior during our time of mourning felt selfish and insensitive. She's still that kind of person. So, I retrieved the journal that contained that particular passage and read it aloud, too. I'll admit what I wrote was mean and about how negatively I perceived her character. I told them everything written was my most up-to-date view of her, as nothing has changed about them. I truly find them insufferable and unpleasant people. Things went quiet, and then my brother acted like he wanted to fight me. They eventually left. Now, days later, my brother is blaming me for triggering her depression, which I didn't even know she struggled with. He says she's been questioning her character, and my words are really getting to her. I reminded him of the passage I wrote when I was 15, the one they read aloud and found so amusing, and suggested he refer back to that if he wants to cheer her up. He's telling anyone who will listen that I unnecessarily hurt his wife's feelings and that I'm an asshole. Am I the asshole?
My 23F, fiance, 30M, broke up with me over text because I got an oil change. My fiance broke up with me over text because I got an oil change. He has blocked me on everything. Advice. My 23F, fiance, 31M, broke up with me over text because I got an oil change and has ghosted me. Me and my fiance have been together for almost 8 years, living together for 5 of them. The past year we both took jobs out of town during the week to be more financially secure. He's supposed to come home every week, but instead stays at work for months on end. My truck was well overdue for an oil change, like 4K overdue, I know bad. So I literally had to get an oil change that weekend so I could drive to work on the Monday. His best friend is a mechanic and helps him work on stuff all the time, so I asked his friend if he could do it for me, and he did it no problem, didn't charge me. I dropped off my truck at his shop and walked over to my mom's down the road to wait, then picked up my truck afterwards. A couple hours after I got home after the oil change, my fiance calls me to let me know he's on his way home. Surprise. He doesn't communicate with me at all, for the weekend. I was thinking, oh perfect, now he won't have to do my oil change when he gets home from his 14 hours drive. I saved him some work and I could spend more time with him. Thought I did a good thing. Oh boy, was I wrong. Well, I left for work on Monday evening and everything was great. We had a great weekend together, went for breakfast that morning. He helped me build signs for our wedding and expressed how excited he was for it. We're supposed to get married June 8th. Yesterday everything went up in flames. He calls me at work absolutely ragging, calling me every name in the book, was saying how dare you cheat on me with my best friend. I was completely lost, like what? I never did, nor would I never cheat on him. I literally just got my oil changed on my truck, that's it. He continues to call me repeatedly to yell me, says we're over and that there's no coming back from this. Blocked me on Facebook and Snapchat, changed his relationship status to single and deleted every photo of me off Facebook like I never existed. He has unblocked me in the middle of the night multiple times to say, if you, then blocks me again. I explained to him that I never cheated, nor would I ever. I talked to his friend and he said he just told him about the oil change and he was fine when he left his place yesterday. I'm so lost and confused on what to do. I'm currently 5 hours away from home at my job. I don't know if I should leave now and deal with this or give him a couple days to cool off and realize his mistake. He said that he took all my stuff out of the house, Don't know how that's possible as literally everything is mine but the TV and mattress including the fridge and washer and dryer, heaters act, and put in the front yard. I don't know if he actually did or is all talk. Has also threatened to hurt my 2 cats too. He does have some mental health issues so that may be contributing to all of this. Any advice would be appreciated. I can't believe I lost an 8-year relationship because I got an oil change. If I would have known I would have just let it go for another week and gotten him to do it. TLDR, my fiancé broke up with me because I got his friend to change my oil on my truck so he wouldn't have to. He took that as me cheating on me. He has blocked me on everything and said he threw all my stuff out onto the yard. I'm 5 hours away at work. Update 1. This afternoon his mom talked to him over the phone, said she could hear him talking to my cats. They should be fine. He also told her that he's been sitting on the couch all day, the one he told me he threw outside. So I doubt he threw anything outside. 2. I shut off my phone for a couple hours before it was just getting too much. I just turned it on and he unblocked me on everything and has been calling for hours on my phone, Facebook, and Snap. Texted me telling him to call him back, that it's urgent. I'm not going to tonight. I'm writing this update then putting my phone on D&D. Edit, since everyone is asking, I was 16, he was 23 when we got together. We've been together more so 7.5 years, but I rounded up.
Wife 20 threw mime 23, pee and broke it in a fit. Things suck, but we have a child under 1 year. Is there a way that I can correct or manage this? Is it best to stay or leave? And if so, how? Last night my wife got into a fit. We have a lot going against us. Married young, kid early, money struggles. She was never a go-getter, I always wanted to be the top of everything, the best of the best, and blah blah blah. That being said, the past 3 years has been me working to provide for the house and her. Fast forward to our child being born, times of course start getting complicated financially due to my place of employment being a shithole. Blah 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 backstory. Since her being a Psalm, she's been a nightmare. There were multiple occasions of her trying to rip our child from my arms when she's trying to nap and demanding me to give her to her because she needs her. During those times, I've had to push her away with my feet and legs while holding my child. It typically occurs when I'm sitting down, so getting up and moving isn't the easiest. That has since stopped, but she has now moved to throwing my things. She's even thrown my old Xbox out front of the house before. Yesterday rolls around and we both got new jobs. She picked up a job where she's working 12-hour shifts for $20/her. I started mine today with $25/her, plus commission. She starts to stress about the days we don't have childcare covered before saying she is door dashing, comes back in 10 minutes later demanding my phone to use because hers was having issues. It told her to turn location back on, she just used it fine the day before. I just thought about that being weird as I typed this. Anyway, she starts yelling and demanding that I quit my job because I'm not doing my job as her father by only watching our daughter for 2 days, when it's because I have work. She demands that I quit my job because she's been home for the past 3 years working around me, when I have been begging her to work, and she left her actual job to pursue a pyramid scheme after we all told her it was a scam and she didn't listen. But I am trying to calm her down in that moment by answering anything I can and telling her we will figure this out, but quitting is not an option. It is a sales job, and she then tells me to demand Saturday off for my job. My first day is today. This occurred yesterday. I asked for $25/her and they gave it to me. Tells me her job is more important and it's her turn, and then stood there for 30 minutes demanding me to quit or tell my boss I need Saturday or she's done with me and done running circles with me. Fast forward 30 minutes of this and her unrelenting. She shoves my pig off my desk across the room. Raking, of course. Later that night, as I'm trying to fix it, I say a part has power, and she tells me that she's actually upset to hear that it still works. It doesn't work anymore. This is bigger than the computer. Honestly, I hate my life, I hate my wife, I hate my situation. But I have a daughter that I love with every ounce I can, and I know her mom is going to help her milk every dollar of child support they can from me. And truthfully, I just am scared of life after that process. I just want what's best for our daughter, but it seems like every choice that is made by her is not in the best interest. I'm fully aware that all of this could just be a me stupid mind thing, and if so, please tell me what I'm reading wrong. I'm so done and so lost. I appreciate every single one of you and your help. This has and is still helping me more than you can believe. Asterisk, get it, edit. I must have made math seem funky in this. My wife was 18 when I met her and I was 20. It's been a short amount of time altogether. Since about summer 2021, we have known each other. Feels longer, sorry.
Would I be VI? It if I don't let my husband's female friend stay with us for a few days while she's grieving. Husband, 32 meters, and I, 27F, have been together 3 years, and to preface this post, he has never given me reason to doubt him. He works remotely while I work in person MF, and don't get home until 6:37ish p.m. most days. Earlier today he texted me saying he spoke to an old friend, 33 apparently, of his because she moved to a city 3 hours from us, and after hearing about the things that happened in her life recently, invited her to come stay with us for a few days. He told me that both her parents and her brother passed away within a few months of each other recently, around a year ago, and she only has a sister left as part of her family now who she's away from Adam. She also recently broke up with her BF who she had been dating for a few years, not sure who broke up with whom. He said she seemed very distraught during their phone call, and he didn't really know what to say or how to console her, that he felt really bad for her, especially because she's mostly alone now. She said she was off from Thursday to Sunday next week, so he invited her to come and stay with us for that time. This woman used to be his coworker at the first job he worked, probably more than 8 years ago now. I know and have met most of his friends, but this is the first time I'm hearing of her, but it might be understandable because I haven't met people he knew from 8 years ago unless they live close by. What really pissed me off was that he didn't ask me if it would be okay, more or less just gave me a heads up that he invited her, maybe just assumed I'd be okay with it. No idea why. I'm not comfortable with a female friend of his being in our home alone with him for a few days while I'm not around for most of the day. I don't know this person or what they're thinking, so while I trust my husband, I don't trust her. Grief and loss also make you act in ways you might not normally act in, and the fact that she had a recent breakup isn't comforting either, so I feel like letting this happen would be like inviting trouble into my marriage. I also know for a fact that if something inappropriate happened, even if she initiated it and my husband shut it down, I would lose trust in him for bringing this situation about despite me not being okay with it. Would I be the it if I said I don't want her in our home while I'm not around? We're going to talk about it when I get home in a few hours. Edit. A few things to add. 1. I think hubby just feels bad for her and how her life turned out, so this is coming out of a place of concern for her more than anything else. It's definitely like him to bend over backwards to make someone else feel better. I think they were close friends when they worked together, but it's definitely a little odd that I haven't heard anything about her before this because he told me about other people he worked with at the time. I even met a couple of them. She also wasn't invited to our wedding. 2. There's also a cultural context involved. Hubby and I are from the same culture, and it's not normal in our culture for a man or woman, especially if married, to be hanging out with someone of the opposite gender alone unless they're blood related. It's not seen as distrust so much as just a respect thing. My dad won't even be in the same room alone as my aunt, his brother's wife, and she's been part of the family for 30+ years. It's similar in my husband's family. Hubby and I are not anywhere that strict and will go out for meals with opposite gender friends from time to time, but always making sure the other person is invited if they want to come, and is okay with it if they don't want to come. This is pushing it though even for me, and for him to assume I'd just be fine with this is super weird. Sorry, this became so long. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she knows nothing? I, 41F, have a daughter who is 17, and her father and I divorced when she was 7. We had a very rocky marriage, during which I was a stay-at-home mom, and I struggled a lot financially afterwards. Because of this, during our divorce, my ex-husband and I agreed that our daughter would live mainly with him, and I received alimony payments from him for about 4 years after our divorce. For the first several years after the divorce, my daughter would stay with me every other weekend and several holidays, the specific holidays depending on the year, and I always enjoyed our time together, but it would often feel like she didn't want to see me. She was never interested in any activities or occasions that I planned for us, and normally when I called to talk to her, she would be busy with school, an extracurricular activity, or something else. Usually when she would spend the night with me, she'd ask about the divorce and why her father and I aren't together anymore. I'd always tried to be as honest as possible with her, but I could tell the divorce had been hard for her, and when she started high school she stopped visiting altogether. She and I have been low contact for the past few years, and this past weekend we had an argument regarding her graduation. She's graduating from high school this June, and I texted her to ask about the details. She responded with a very passive-aggressive text asking if I would actually come, and how she didn't want to waste a ticket. I wasn't sure where it was coming from, so I called her and she started ranting about how I was never around, and that I always blamed her father for everything, and how I cared about my students more than her. I'm a high school teacher. I interrupted her and told her that she knows nothing about what happened between her father and I. I told her that she made her choice to stop visiting and not to answer when I call her, and that she couldn't blame anyone else for that, and she hung up. About an hour later, she sent me a long text about how much I hurt her, and that she didn't want me at her graduation, and that I needed to change. Since that night, I've gotten several messages from my ex-husband's family about how I'm a terrible mother and how I should have been more involved when my daughter was younger, and I'm not sure how to handle this. AITAH.